everybody, Questwise here, and behind me at the table today sits a majority of a massive Heroclix collection that I was gifted. I don't like to think of it as a gift. I like to think that I'm sort of a caretaker of this, a curator of this. This belonged to a local man who was a collector, but I didn't know he was a collector. I knew this person. I wouldn't say we were best friends. I think we were more than acquaintances, though. He had spent a lot of time, let's just say every time I was at an event, a local event or an away event or some kind of comic book related event, he was there. And I didn't know about this side of him. This is going to be the beginning of a series. I don't know how long it's going to be. I've been thinking about this for quite a while now. If you've watched the channel for a while, or if you're brand new, welcome. A little introduction about myself. I've been a gamer since about 1992, 1993, and a comic book fan just about as long. In fact, it was my love of comic books and my discovery of role-playing games that really sparked a passion in me for being able to tell stories at a tabletop with dice and miniatures. I came into Heroclix quite a few years ago. I don't know exactly what year it was. It was just before the Mech Warrior Dark Age set came out. I had discovered Heroclix, thought they were kind of cool, but wasn't really interested in board games at the time. But I bought a few, and then I had a friend who was a really big BattleTech fan, and when Mech Warrior Dark Age came out via Wizkids with the clickable bases, we dove in pretty hardcore. We played that for a long time. After that, I kind of got away from this. I have explored a lot of different avenues. About a year or so ago, I began to watch some videos on YouTube. I had this sort of like itch again to play Heroclix and see if it was still alive. And to my delight, it was alive and well, and the community was amazingly huge. It was better than it had ever been. So I began to like hem and haw over whether or not I wanted to jump back into that. Do I need another hobby? Absolutely not. But I knew I wanted to explore this a little bit more and see if it was something that still captured my imagination and made me want to do this again. I began to talk to some friends about it, began to talk to my wife about it. And one of my good friends here locally had said, you know, he had played a lot of, or had collected a lot of Heroclix a few years back, and then kind of got out of it and gave his collection to his nephew, and but was excited to maybe explore it again a little bit. So we bought a few things and we began to sort of look at it and realize that it was had further advanced than what we remember it, and we were encapsulated. While visiting my local comic book shop one day, I began to talk to the owner about how I was excited to start maybe exploring Heroclix again, and we began to have this conversation. And I don't want to name any names, just the safety of the people involved, or whatever, the politeness, I guess, of the people involved. But he was telling me, hey, did you know that so-and-so, who had passed away in 2022, did you know that he was a big collector and that his whole collection was given to the comic book store? And wanted me to sort of be the caretaker of this legacy. I didn't realize the immensity of what was going to be coming into my life at that point. I was humbled. I was thankful. I was gracious to have what I thought was just a few cases. And this is not even all of it. There's more in the studio, in the room behind me there, that I've already begun to sort. And here's the thing. I began to learn a lot about this person via the stuff that he left behind. A side of him that I didn't know existed. And that's what I want to explore in this series. I'm cataloging all of this. I'm curating all of this. I'm going to use this collection. It just stretches back, as far as I can tell, 2007-ish on some of the figures, maybe even further. Some crazy, unique stuff in here that I never knew about. Maybe if you're a HeroClix collector and have been for a long time, maybe none of this stuff is new to you. But some of the stuff was kind of shocking to me, and things I didn't even know existed. But that's what's going to be the sort of heart and soul of this video series, is that I'm going to show you my journey into a man's life, a side of a man's life that I didn't know existed. And I knew this guy fairly well. He dated a very good friend of mine. He was always present at Free Comic Book Day. He was always present at our local comic book Comic-Con, Cherry Capital Comic-Con. If you want to look it up, I'll put a link down below. Shameless plug, by the way. But he was always there. He was always a face that was always present. And when you're at a comic book convention, and I've always been involved in the sort of the gaming side of the comic book convention, and it's always been my goal to connect comic book fans and gamers together and show them that their worlds are really not that different. But this was a side of this person I didn't know existed. I didn't know that they were a gamer. And at first I thought, well, maybe he's just a collector. As I began to sort of look through these bins and these boxes and these crates. And the more and more that I dug, and the more and more that I delved into this stuff, I realized that no, there was a gamer here. And they left a legacy behind. And that's what I want to do with this. I guess in superhero speak, it would be called psychometry, right? The act of touching something and knowing bits about its past. And I'm gonna delve in, and I'm gonna show you some interesting things that I think are interesting in this collection as I go through in future series, parts of the series. But I'm also going to talk about characters and teams that I didn't know existed or didn't know much about. And I'm going to take the time to research them and read those comics and delve into those stories to learn more about these characters. Because that's the one thing that HeroClix has done way better than any other superhero game, in my opinion, has ever done. And I love, one of my all-time favorite games, and it's a game that I play every single day, is Marvel Champions, the card game. I love it. I think it's an amazing game. I've played a lot of superhero role-playing games. I love superhero role-playing games. Marvel Crisis Protocol, the miniatures game, which is hugely popular right now, is great. But what HeroClix has done over the years that's been phenomenal is that it's touched on characters and personalities and comics and stuff that no other company ever has. Whether it be Marvel or DC or independent like Image Comics, they've just touched on things and characters and teams that I don't think a lot of companies do, because a lot of companies want to go first and foremost. They want you they want to have a Batman figure. They want to have a Spider-Man figure, which is great. But HeroClix has had like 700 different Batman characters, a ton of different stuff, and characters that I'm looking at at some of these miniatures, and I'm like, I've never heard of this character before. Who is this? And I'm excited about going back and researching who these people are. And that'll be part of the videos going forth, as well as me doing research into some of this history. But the heart and soul of this entire series is me connecting with a person that I called a friend, who's definitely a friend. I wish I had taken the time to get him to know him even better. There are many people in our community that knew him way better than I ever could have. But I think I was actually given a chance to know a gamer, to know a collector, to know a fan through the things he left behind. And while it sounds sad and it feels sad, I'm emotional right now, but it's one of those things that, like, I'm super excited to do. I'm super honored to have the opportunity to learn about someone through the things that they left behind. And I've already discovered, and I'll go into this in future videos, but I've already discovered some things in here that really made me understand a little bit more about who he was and what he loved and the reasons the way he was who he was. There's a lot of stuff to go through. I'm sorting cards, connecting them to figures. There's still a lot of stuff that's sort of missing. I believe I have the bulk of everything. Like I said, this is only a portion of it. The rest is in the studio behind me. Some of it, and I'll show you pictures and do a tour of the studio at a later point. I have a big sort of industrial bookshelf stand in there that is, 2 shelves of it are already completely filled with characters, Marvel characters, of stuff that's been sorted, and the cards have been cataloged, and sort of a living museum, as it were. And I hope to curate the entire thing at some point. But there's been some things that I've found in here that I'm like, okay, this is interesting. Why would this have existed? And not so much because it's a Wizkids thing or because it's a HeroClix thing, but why would he have owned this? Certain characters that he didn't have cards for, and so he photocopied them or printed them off somewhere on the internet. So he had the cards. I don't have some of the cards with me, but almost 90% of the cards were all sleeved in those hard top loader sleeves that you buy mostly for, like, baseball cards, sports cards. If he was just a collector, why would he have taken the time to put all the cards into these top loader hard sleeves? Which leads me to believe that he was more of a gamer than I knew. And in a way that makes me sad, because I would have loved to know that side of him. I would have loved to spend some hours at the table with him. But I knew him as a comic book collector. I knew him as a comic book fan, as a pop culture fan, and not as a gamer. Some cool stuff in here. Some really cool stuff. Marvel, DC, like I said, it runs the gamut of a little bit of everything. Old stuff, some newer stuff, I would say up until some of the more recent releases, just prior to 2022 when he passed away. So he was avidly collecting right up until that point. Cool stuff. I'm excited about this. I hope you're excited about this series too. I don't really know. Like I said, I've been sort of contemplating what I'm wanting to say in this series, what I'm going to do with this series. How am I going to make this entertaining for anybody who gives a crap to watch this thing, right? If you're new to HeroClix, I invite you to join me, because I'm gonna call myself a noob with HeroClix. I've played before, and it was years ago. The game has massively changed since I last remember playing it. If you're an old HeroClix fan, I hope you join in and you watch and you simply join in the conversation to help me and others learn more about this stuff. Maybe I'll come across something and show it in a video that you know way more about than I ever could. You lived through it. You experienced it. You were there when it happened. I've learned a lot over the past couple of months. I've done a lot of research. I've done a lot of reading online and on YouTube. And I've learned about things like Golden Age and Silver Age gameplay and modern gameplay and pulp gameplay. I think with a collection like this, I have always been, and if you've watched the channel before, you know that I'm a very narratively driven gamer. I love games. I've done the competitive scene. I don't want to do that anymore. I'm almost 50 years old, and I don't. Competitive games naturally in themselves are competitive, but the competitive scene where tournaments and stuff are involved, I'm not super interested in anymore. I'm not a power gamer. I'm a narrative gamer. I want to experience the game for what the game is and the story that it can tell. And I love comics, so it's a natural thing. So in my research and my learning and my delving into things about HeroClix, I've learned that the Golden Age might be the way to go with a collection like this. It gives basically everything that's ever been made available to you to play in a game. And I'm excited. There are a lot of other really good superhero-inspired games on the market right now. But this one has really sort of captured my imagination in the sort of like chess-like play to it, as well as the ability to sort of modify it to make it a little bit more of a narrative thing. The fact that everything's sort of encapsulated in a dial. So I'll go into a lot more of that as I further videos as I begin to explore this monstrosity of goodness. And I'm very honored to be the caretaker of all of this, and I plan to share this with others locally in the community and start to spread the love of HeroClix. There are a few people out there. I've talked to a lot of people locally. There are a few people who have fond memories of HeroClix or still really love HeroClix, but the community is not huge, and I hope to expand that. In May at our local comic book convention, I plan on doing some after-hours games where I'm just going to set up some games, some narrative-themed battles, and let people experience what HeroClix is, because I've become enamored with it again and now as well too, and very excited to learn more. If you're new to HeroClix, there's been some channels that I've been religiously watching on YouTube that I think you would find immensely helpful. And I'll try to put as many links down in the comments below as I can. I'll try to look them all up before I post this video and try to put those links down there so you can find them as well. And these are the ones that have been very helpful in me sort of reacclimating myself to the game, as well as the history of the game, as well as sort of the excitement of the community that is currently out there in the world. And as a world-spanning community of HeroClix fans, and I love that this game is still alive and well and thriving. And in fact, today, Wizkids even announced a new DC set, and that's the thing that's exciting for me. I've always been a Marvel fan, and I know I've read some of the DC stuff. I know who the main characters are, but the deeper lore in DC is something I've always wanted to experience, but I just never really had that opportunity to do so. And I think I'm going to do that via HeroClix. Some of the characters in here that I don't know anything about or know very little about, reading their powers and their abilities and the way that they play on the tabletop has excited me to go back and try to learn and experience and do some research into how these characters work and who they were and what the creators thought that these characters should be. Here's a list, and I'll just read them off in no particular order. No favorites here. On HeroClix channels on YouTube that have been immensely powerful for me, but also immensely helpful for me to get reacclimated into what is HeroClix in the modern day. The Alpha Strike, Dice Station Zebra, ClixDads, the Wizkids official YouTube channel, Heroclix Headquarters, Dial H for HeroClix, Heroclix USA, Clixed Off. Those are just a few of the ones that are really out there, and I plan on trying to put a link for all of those in the notes below. So if you are new to HeroClix or excited to learn more about the game, please go check them out. Give them a like, give them a subscribe, and I think they could. If they've helped me immensely, I think they could definitely spread that joy. Before I close this video out, And I hope you've stuck with me this long, because I'm, like I said, I'm emotional about this, but I'm also super honored, and I'm super excited to be undertaking this journey with HeroClix fans out there in the world. But I wanted to share this with you because this is one of the things that I remember back in the day. So modern HeroClix, if you don't know, have this dial at the bottom of the base of the figure, right? And all the stats are, and I'll go into this in future videos, but all the stats are here on the dial, and it clicks, thus HeroClix. The dials spin and the sort of things change. Now they've made them modern-wise that you can just do this with your fingers. By holding the figure and rotating, it changes the base. But I remember the days when you needed the power ring, right? This special ring that you had to wear on your finger that sort of fit into this mechanism at the bottom of the base that you would spin in order to change the dial. There's only been one in this whole collection that I've found, but I think so far anyway, this is my favorite part of the whole collection. To just see this again sparked a nostalgia in me, and a want to sort of learn this game again in a way that nothing else here has. It's stupid, but I think it's cool. Yeah. Until next time, my friends, I hope you all stay safe, and as always, game on.